Alright guys, so today we're talking about Multiversus, and if you don't know what this is, it's basically a free-to-play fighting game exactly like Super Smash Bros., right? And so I've played my fair share of fighting games. Now I come to think of it, I don't know if I've reviewed any of them on the channel. I haven't talked about Dragon Ball FighterZ, or Mortal Kombat, or Injustice 2, or definitely not Smash, so this is probably the first fighting game we've talked about. So all those games I've referenced, I have, different levels of competency within those, right? Dragon Ball FighterZ and like Mortal Kombat and Justice, those are my higher level ones, and then like Smash, I'm barely competent. Like the average player would probably beat me. Here with Multiversus, I probably fall in the middle, right? I'm decent, I win most of my matches until I tried playing a new character, and then you get absolutely smacked. But let's talk about the game and what it is before we get into all the details. So essentially, it's all of the Warner Brother properties combined into one fighting game, right? It's like Smash Bros, all the Nintendo properties and all of those things, Injustice with all the DC characters, all the other games I've mentioned, right? And it's all these Warner Brother properties combined, right? So there's 17 characters at the moment. You got, like I said, Bugs Bunny, Finn, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, the Iron Giant, right? All types of different characters from different franchises, and they're going to supposedly add more as the game goes on. Now, it is important to mention that it's a free-to-play game, so there's a lot of, microtransactions and that type of content, and we'll get to that when we talk about progression here in a minute. But let's focus on the gameplay, because I think that's kind of the primary focus of any fighting game. So again, like Smash and like some of the other games mentioned, it's very simplistic for the most part, right? It's not to the extent of Mortal Kombat and Injustice, where you have multiple button combos where you're chaining right, left, A, X, B, Y, you're in RB and chaining up these meters and all that stuff. It's not that complex, right? You have a light attack and a special attack essentially in each direction, and then you can hold some attacks for a more powerful version, and then each character comes with one or two special abilities besides that. But for the most part, that's pretty much it. Like I said, you have aerials, sweeps, left and right, directional attacks, and then light and heavy versions of each of those. For example, Wonder Woman, who I play, has all those things I just mentioned, and then her lasso and a shield, and those are her two special moves essentially, right? And she has a few more that you unlock, and they become better as you progress, but for the most part, on its core level, that's how the central gameplay works. This, combined with slotting in perks and different abilities that are unique to each character, is pretty much what you're going to be spending the most of your time doing. Now, let's talk about the progression and unlocking stuff and why you're actually playing. So you can level up your actual account in the battle pass that comes with the game, both the free version and the paid version, and then you can level up each character individually up to, I believe the max level for each one is 12, or at least that's where the cap for unlocking stuff is, where you unlock their final character special ability. And like I said, each character has special perks that are unique to them, and then as you upgrade them, you can slot in perks from other characters. Things like increased movement speed, less bounce when you hit the ground, less damage, more damage, stuff like that. And when combining these perks with your teammate, you'll get a bonus percentage whenever you stack. So if you both have the perk for movement speed, instead of 6% for each of you, it'll now be 10%. So you can work together to make different builds and stuff like that based on how you play and what characters you're using. But aside from that, there's really not that much progression, right? You're going to level up each character to that max level of 12, at least that is what it is currently, and I've pretty much mained Wonder Woman aside from playing Batman for maybe 2 matches and Superman once, and I'm almost max level with Wonder Woman after essentially 2 sessions of playing the game. Now, of course, this depends on how, hardcore you focus on challenges, how good you are, all of that stuff, but you can level up each character relatively quickly. And speaking about characters, like I said earlier, there's, I believe, 17 right now. There's 3 types of main classes within the game that's broken down into subclasses. So people like I play, Wonder Woman, the Iron Giant, Superman, these are all tanks, right? And each one of them has, for example, Wonder Woman's a horizontal tank. Batman, although he's not a tank, is a vertical type of his characters. So they're all broken down into a primary class and then a secondary subclass, whether it's tank horizontal, tank vertical, tank hybrid, right? And that's just the best way to juggle with the character. And then they're broken down into difficulties, of course. They're recommended, extreme, easy, all of that stuff, right? And so there's tank, which again, like I said, is who I play. They really deal a lot of damage. They can take a lot of damage, but from what I've experienced, they're relatively slow, have a lot of more, like I said, damaged focused moves where if you miss, it's going to be a big penalty because of the build-up. Now you have bruisers, which are just your brawlers, right? That's your Shaggy, your Batman, your Taz, Jake, all those types of characters. They're really real quick, maybe not doing as much damage, can't take as much damage, relatively though, because the type of game it is, every character can take relatively the same amount of damage, but perhaps not putting out as much per hit, but they're doing more hits, so that just, again, depends on your playstyle. From there, you have the assassins, which are kind of a mix of the two, right? That's your Finn, your Arya from Game of Thrones, your Harley Quinn. Those characters are your assassins types. Again, they're going to be quick, but they also have heavy hitting moves. And finally, you have your mage characters, which as of right now is just Tom and Jerry, which is one character, and then Bugs Bunny, right? And then, so these characters I kind of don't include in the main set, along with another group that I'll talk about here in a minute, mainly because, one, nobody's really playing them aside from Bugs Bunny. I think that's just because of the accessibility of the character and just how well known he is, but they require a lot more skill and patience and kind of honing in the abilities of some of the characters compared to the other options, right? And I'm not saying they're impossible or that they're the best, but they definitely seem like people who are playing them aren't using them the way they're meant to be played. They're just spamming one relatively, simple move over and over again, because to master those types of characters, the game just hasn't been out long enough in order for those people to really get all those range attacks and those buffs and nerfs. And that goes the same thing for the support characters, right? I'm sure there's all types of unique things you can do with the support characters, like Steven Universe, Velma, that big dog thing, I don't know what the hell it's called. But I'm sure there's these unique support things you can do, and buffs and nerfs and all of this stuff, different combos that you can make your team practically unstoppable by just supporting them, obviously, hence the name of the class. But for the most part, the people playing those classes, at least right now, on essentially day 1.5 of the game being out, it's just a lot of spamming the same overpowered move over and over again. Now, speaking of that, let's go ahead and go through the balancing, right? This comes with pretty much every game now, whether it's fighting games or shooters, like Rainbow Six Siege or freaking Fortnite for, that matter. Whatever it is, there's always a balancing issue, especially with how games work now, with games as a service, with constant updates, especially in free-to-play models. And so, let me just run through the roster really quick and just give you my opinion, alright? Now, some of these I'm not going to have an opinion on, like, for example, starting out Shaggy. I've never seen anybody play Shaggy, which is surprising, but I have not seen a single Shaggy, so I have no input there. Batman seems incredibly dependent on the person using them, right? And that could be said for a lot of characters, but, his moveset seems really good, and if you know what you're doing, it could be really cool to deceive people, and he has smoke grenades that slow enemies, and I'm sure you can get high damage off while people are stuck in that smoke, along with his bombs and his batarangs and all of that stuff. But just from what I've played as him and what I've seen other people play as him against me, I haven't seen anybody too incredibly overpowered that I just felt that I wasn't even close to winning. And then, let me just speed run through this. Essentially, all through the top row, right? You got Taz, the lady from Steven Universe, Finn, Jake, Arya Stark, Harley Quinn. Pretty moderate, right? Depending on who's playing them. They have some broken moves, but for the most part, no one seems too crazy as them. But then you get to LeBron James as the final character on the top row. Dude's broken. I can't tell you how many times dude's passed the ball to me up against a wall over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know if it's just because people are playing him for the meme, but he's insane. Alright, he's probably, let me look through the list real quick. He's easily top 2 broken characters. Maybe third, but he's pretty broken. Alright, from there, Wonder Woman, I've never played against a Wonder Woman, I think maybe except for once, so I can't really say anything except from my experience, and she seems pretty well balanced. Now obviously you're going to say that about the character that you main, because you don't want to say that you're playing an overpowered character, but what do I know, right? Superman for the most part is well balanced. A lot of his moves are really slow, but really high damage, except for one move, it's completely broken, where he just like laser beams the ground, and if he has his character ability, he can just like spam that and just ground pound over and over again. That's obnoxious, but with any fighting game, you're gonna have those people that just spam the same move over and over again. Iron Giant, trash, except from the Batcave. Everyone's talking about how bad he is. That's all I've heard before the game launched, after the game launched. Iron Giant's trash. Play against him on the Batcave. The Batcave, if you haven't played the game, is this incredibly flat map, right? There's no stages to it, there's no vertical, horizontal, nothing, right? It's just flat. And he absolutely, since he's so damn tall, you can't get over him, so he just swings and he's guaranteed to hit you as long as he's looking in the right direction. So, yeah, he's rough. Other than that map, though, garbage, right? Because he's so damn tall on stages with multiple levels, you can hit him from, like, the upper levels and where he can't hit you. And, he's slow, he's easy to hit because he's so damn big. But on the Batcave, broken. Steven Universe is just annoying when he spawns like his little gummy bear dude that runs around and follows him and all of these like little shield things. He's just obnoxious, but other than that, he's not too strong or anything. It's just very annoying to fight against him, and depending on how much that pisses you off and alters your performance, well, that's up to you. The dog thing, haven't played anybody playing against him. I played as him, seems pretty trash. That's just my opinion. Again, support characters, not my thing. Velma, haven't seen Velma, haven't played as Velma, got nothing to say. Bugs Bunny, probably the most balanced character, right? I've seen people who do really good, and I've seen people who do really bad, right? I mean, and again, it might just be because of the accessibility of the character, but for the most part, he seems to be pretty well balanced. If you know what you're doing, you know how to chain things together well, you can do a lot of damage, do it really quickly, not take a lot of damage by hiding underground, stuff like that. His recovery is pretty decent, but can also just be absolute dog water, but I think that's more dependent on the skill level of the player. Alright, finally, Tom and Jerry, absolutely broken, and I've only run across one person playing Tom and Jerry, and I don't know if this dude was just an absolute mad lad, or if he was just spamming the same attack, but I mean, I was on the right half of the stage, and he hit me all the way to the left half of the stage, and I don't mean with heavy attacks launching me, I mean an absolute combo across the entire stage, my whole health, like, gone, right? This dude, again, I don't know if he was just insane, or if the dude's just broken, and that's why they cost so much, I don't know, but that's where I stand with all the characters right now. Just like with anything I review, the price has to come into consideration, right? And so, with Game Pass games, I give two different scores for the paid version and the Game Pass version. Here, this game is free. But with the free game comes the caveat of microtransactions, right? Now, there's daily challenges and character progression and profile progression to give you gold to buy new characters, right? Essentially, one session a day, playing for an hour, hour and a half. As long as you do decent, you should be able to get a new character, at least at the rate that I'm going, right? But you can also just pay real money for new characters, which if that's your thing, I guess go for it. Not doing that, never will, never have. I think that's dumb, ruins the game, but you do you. Like I said, this is a free-to-play game, so the expectations there, you can't rate it as hard as a $60 game. And so, for that reason, this is going to be a lot higher than if this was a $60 game. If this was $60, I would need a lot more progression, a lot more reason to play, more modes, maybe some guild stuff, some single player modes against bosses, and playing against bots with tier ladders and stuff like you have in Mortal Kombat and Injustice games. I know it's not the same type of game, but it would be nice to have, right? Maybe some gear progression where there's a mode where your gear actually matters and you can have different visual styles. And yes, there are skins, but they cost real money. But that's just my opinion. So for a free game, where would I put this? It's like a 7 right now. It's good. The roster is unique enough to where pretty much everybody should be able to find 2 or 3 characters that they like and the maps are pretty decent. This one I hate in particular, but other than that, they're pretty good. Again, no character seems too incredibly broken for right now. They're going to be constantly adding characters, supposedly. So that's kind of where I sit with this game right now. It's pretty good, it does what it needs to do, but again, in the future when they have more characters and more maps, and like with anything, as you add more content, it can easily become more broken, so we'll see where that goes down the road. But you guys let me know what you think of this game. There's a lot of hype around it. Everyone's saying how it's like the greatest thing ever. I don't think it's that good. It's good, but again, it's a free-to-play fighting game, so I don't expect much. If you like, what's the one? Brawlhalla, I think. It's like a tier up from that, right? It's free, it has well-known characters, and it's kind of like Smash, right? It's not something I'm going to sit here and play all day, but I'll level up the characters that I like, and when they add someone new, come back to it every now and then. But you guys let me know what you think of the game down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.